That's all right.
Okay. Oh, shit.
All right, welcome in to this edition of Libservative on a, I guess, Corey, this is a not so fun Friday as we've had in recent weeks. We didn't even put any banners together. We weren't really sure how we wanted to do this because it all kind of developed so quickly, but most of today's show is going to be focused around the conflict in Ukraine. It's what's going on in the world. It's extraordinarily important. One of the things we're not going to do, or at least not going to do a lot of on today's episode, is going to be kind of talking about what's going on in the current moment, because it's been so fluid. It's been so fast moving. I mean, things could spin on a dime, by the time Corey and I are done recording here. But before I get into how we're going to set up this episode, this experimental episode, I guess you could say, of Libservative, he's Corey Walsh.
And he is Dan Griffin. What are you drinking?
This is Libservative, and I am drinking a very, very stiff, dirty martini this evening. I mean, anybody who's watched the show more than once knows that I tend to like to get after the martinis when things hit the fan. So here we go. It's perfect night for. I should have poured some sort of Ukrainian beverage this evening, but I didn't even think about it. Sort of maybe next week. But hopefully,
Ukraine.
Hopefully the Ukrainians will. It'll be all over. The Ukrainians will blow the Ruskies off off their land, and we'll be done. I doubt it, but anyway, what are you drinking?
I got some George Remus bourbon. I don't know. It's not my Basil Hayden's, but I like it. And the story of George Remus is pretty cool. And the fact that The Great Gatsby might be based on him makes me like it a little bit more. And real quick, I want to say to everyone who's watching, take a quick second to like and subscribe to our show on whatever platform you're watching this on. And like, follow, and share all of our podcast platforms or our social media platforms. Go hop on. You can join the conversations in our posts that we make. And make sure to give us a rating too. That's all. Shameless plug. Shameless plug for the show. Drinking some George Remus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Poured one out for our Ukrainian friends.
I don't know what else we're going to get to in this show besides, sort of breaking down the situation in Ukraine. Some of the things we definitely wanted to get to that maybe we won't get to. Maybe hopefully things will die down and we'll be able to talk about things like this next week. But we definitely wanted to talk about the end of the trucker convoy in Canada, because there was some autocratic shit, hardcore autocratic shit that happened to basically end that protest. We wanted to talk about Biden's why am I having a brain fart? Supreme Court nomination.
It's a good one.
Swiss banks exposing folks, Joe Rogan updates, that kind of stuff. But this show is really going to be centered around Ukraine. And what I wanted to do is set it up in a way that we can kind of talk this through rationally as two human beings that are living through this thing live, just like
two intellectual idiots doing our best to navigate through propaganda and a crazy. We woke up and the world's a whole lot different today.
Did you just read that from somewhere?
No, I made that up on the fly. And first thing I want to say is I want to apologize to the listeners, because a couple episodes ago, I was so sure that it wouldn't get to this point in Ukraine. I said on this show, I'm like, that it wasn't going to happen. It was going to get to the point that it was pretty much at where everyone was kind of like backing down, saying that Ukraine wasn't going to join NATO. And I said it was all a geopolitical mess, and that was going to be the point where things fizzled out based on historical context, based on the economy and how it would make sense for a country like Russia. Like, they had the Nord Stream 2 pipeline on the line. They had a bunch of European economic ties on the line. It doesn't make geopolitical sense. It doesn't make the economic sense. It doesn't make any sense. And so I made a decision based on these logical points that Russia wouldn't be joining. Russia wouldn't be doing anything to Ukraine. The only thing I didn't take into factor was we are actually dealing with a illogically flawed person. And in saying that,
A crazy person.
a crazy person, like the last episode we had, it opens up and you're talking about how Putin was smarter than a lot of the other leaders. And I feel like a lot of us had like a certain respect for a guy who we thought was very measured and tactical and this type of thing. And we thought that he was playing like a 4D chess game, getting what he wanted in Ukraine. And then he made that speech talking about how he wants to enlarge Russia back to its former glory. And he showed his true cards, and the guy is a fucking psycho. And we can sit here and we can also talk about how we didn't trust, and which we'll break into this more, how we didn't trust our own intelligence on a lot of this stuff. And I think ultimately, though, now that the lines are being drawn, there's a war that is happening. When a war happens, lines have to be drawn. And fuck the Ruskies. Fuck those guys over there. And it's 100%. I'm not here warmongering. I'm not saying we need to jump into the war, but the Ukrainians 100% have my support. Like, a sovereign nation is a sovereign nation. And I hope that, based on what we're seeing right now, the early reports coming out, I hope that the Ukrainians spank the Russians.
Now, you don't really mean fuck the Ruskies. You're being reactionary here, I think, Corey. We
fuck Putin.
Yeah, we're definitely in full.
No. Like, you could tell based on the protests you see happening in Russia that the Ruskies aren't fans of this either.
It's 1958. We've said Ruskies like 7 times already in this.
I know it is 1958, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying.
Corey, you're not the only one who got it wrong, right? I mean, we've got people that myself, folks that we really respect, like the Matt Taibbis of the world. He even came out and said that he took too much stock in this Western hubris that I think is a real, that it actually is an issue, right? The West isn't, they're definitely not innocent in this whole thing. However, if you're putting percentages on blame, I'm going 95% Putin, 5% on the West, at least as of right now. Details come out.
Biden said in his speech that it was unprovoked, unjustified, and immoral, and he's 99% right. We did with a bullshit group that was for the Soviet Army when the Soviet Army wasn't there anymore. We did constantly put geopolitical chess pieces in a threatening manner against Russia, but that doesn't give anyone any sort of fucking right to go in and kill innocent people in a country that isn't even a part of what you're pissed off about.
What did you say he said? I can't remember. You said it was unprovoked,
immoral, unjustified, and immoral.
Unjustified, yes. Immoral, yes.
Unprovoked.
Exactly.
I guess unprovoked would be a subjective term in this base. And we didn't put troops in Ukraine. We were literally doing everything we could in diplomacy. Biden did his damnedest, but unfortunately, years and years and years of bad blood, a bunch of old senile heads, and Cold War ideology superseded any sort of measurement of a measured approach to what's happening right now. And in the short time when there was 30 years of all this stuff. A person just commented, they said, I think we need to realize that pretty much the entire West is run by superficial nitwits. I think it's completely predictable how Putin has reacted to his stupidity and the rest. And that's kind of what I was saying about the unprovokedness. Now, granted, it doesn't justify what Putin did. Not at all. But, it got to this point, and not just from one side. It takes two to tango.
I think in some of the ways I feel like I personally got it wrong, because I was with you. I thought that this was political posturing, that this was a way for Putin and Biden to both get what they wanted. Putin's approval rating is absolutely, or I'm sorry, Biden's approval rating is absolutely atrocious. He needed some sort of a foreign policy or geopolitical win to, perhaps boost those numbers a little bit. And then Putin, I always just kind of viewed him as like sort of a cartoon character who's obsessed with giving off this illusion of strength rather than actually showing it, right? Like you think of the paintings of him on horseback with no shirt on and with his back as stiff as a board. Like that's my view of Putin. Just this he wants to collect his money. He wants to be the kleptocrat that he is, stealing from his own nation, and he just wants to show that or give off the illusion that he's powerful. But one of the things that I didn't take into consideration were things like the fact that, especially over COVID, the Russian economy has barely grown. I mean, their GDP growth over the last 5 years is like 0.5%. I actually had the numbers in front of me, and here it is. 0.5% 5-year average. That's 162nd in the world, Corey. 2.3% over last year. That's 128th in the world, and they are 11th overall in GDP in the world. The countries that puts them behind is pretty bad. So it's almost like, Putin's also going to be 70 years old, I want to say, in October. And his ability to build a legacy is kind of running out. And so I think there's a chance that there was a period of time where maybe he was a little bit smarter and a little bit more tactical, but there's definitely a chance now that he's sort of panicking and just needing a way to figure out how to build their legacy with their GDP falling in the global rankings. Basically, the only way they make money now is by selling oil to Europe, which is just a whole nother can of worms that, what do you do if you basically force Russia to stop selling oil to Europe? That's going to raise gas prices like crazy all throughout the EU. So that's going to suck. But the lack of trust in media and foreign intelligence is something that's really stuck with me, because I've thought about the way we feel about our own media, whether you're talking about the legacy media, whether it's New York Times, Washington Post, New York Post, any of the 3 cable networks. We almost look at every time they say something and we go, that's probably bullshit for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, like
so when
we
they say that Russia's going to invade Ukraine, we go, are they though? Really?
right. Exactly. Yeah, and we have a healthy dose of skepticism. And this time we were wrong. Our intelligence actually did get it right. And it is, to use the word again, justified to think that we could have a healthy dose of skepticism when it comes to our own intelligence. For example, a whole day and a half before Russia invaded, they were saying that Russia already invaded. Mm-hmm. And now you remember I said that's bullshit. They didn't, because I knew there would be a Twitter feed of a bunch of just fodder of just videos of things happening, as evidenced by when they actually did invade. That's what we saw. Our intelligence lies to us often. We talked about Nicaragua. We talk about all these other proxy countries that America messes with all the time. So when this happened, we were like, oh, here we go. Saber rattling. It ain't going to get that far, because in all reality, it never really got like that with Russia throughout the whole Cold War. It got to that point where it was close. There was actually, I don't know. Something like this might have happened during the Cold War. I'm trying to think. It got pretty tense at some points, but we were so far past that it didn't seem realistic to us who grew up post-Soviet Union.
And we had gotten used to, whatever presidential administration, whether you're talking about how long is Putin's been president, I think officially since 2012. So we're talking about Obama, we're talking about Trump, and we're talking about Biden. Through all 3 of those administrations, it was just a bunch of, well, you better not, you better not. And then it all goes away. And then, 2014 obviously happens, the annexation of Crimea. And I think that gave, and
even that had a reasonable, I don't want to use that word reasonable, but even that, I guess, had logic behind it, because it was a coup that was instituted by America in 2014, and Putin took over his area where his naval base was. So it's like, okay, that's why we didn't respond so crazily, because we got our hands caught in the cookie jar.
You think that?
So I thought it was going to be a remake of another proxy thing happening in Ukraine. I really didn't think it was going to get this far. I did not think that Putin would isolate himself and do what he's doing with all of the economic policies and everything he had on the line. Like when Nord Stream 2 was getting built and all this stuff. And I just didn't see it.
Oh, geopolitically, it makes absolutely no sense.
Right. And you know what actually makes me sad about it is the fact that I've had people actually like say to me with kind of a shit-eating grin, you know, like, oh, well, you were wrong. Oh, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I am wrong. I guess I was pragmatically optimistic about the whole scenario. And guess what? I am wrong. And now people are dying. So it's like,
yeah,
good.
and that kind
glad you got me.
That kind of brings up the domestic angle of this whole thing, because it just goes to show how just out of touch much of American society is, right? We can't even, and I think that actually gave Putin a little bit more confidence to go through and do this, right? Because what do you see? I mean, Twitter's a cesspool. I've actually been trying to avoid it for the last few days, just because I don't want to see, well, if Trump were president, then this wouldn't have happened, or Biden's a weak leader. And like, even if these things are true, let's just pretend that these things are true. If Trump's president, they don't invade. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because he's not president. And Biden,
this what if scenario.
Biden being a weak leader, again, that might be true. Why is it helpful to sit there and point that out? This is what Putin sees. Putin, we've been over this a couple of times. Putin doesn't give a fuck who our president is. Putin doesn't care. He wants the unrest in our country. He wants us fighting with each other, because that's what makes a democracy look weak. And that is exactly what he wants. And so I think because of that, because of, you know, the infighting that we seem to have here all the time over nonsense, instead of, we can't even agree on a consensus who the actual president is. We can't even agree on who won the election. Like, that to me, that is the American weakness. That is the Western weakness right there. And that's what Putin sees. Not Biden's a weak leader, or Trump, if Trump was president, they wouldn't have invaded. He doesn't care about that shit. And Trump, by the way, is not helping anything. Going on, I can't remember what the hell show it was on, but I heard the clip earlier today.
Oh, and he's saying Putin's a smart man and stuff like that. What a fucking joke.
I mean, let's be fair, though. I said that too last week. But I was wrong. Do you think Trump would ever admit he was wrong?
No.
Not helping anything there, Donald. You're not helping. And that's no surprise. He doesn't have any interest in helping the American people. He doesn't have any interest in helping Ukraine. He doesn't have any interest in any of that. He has interest in helping himself. We know this.
Yeah, it's fucking Trump, man. I don't understand why he's still cozying up. Does he think in some weird way this is going to help alleviate some sort of issue? It's just driving a wedge domestically at home. At that point, he is being a useful idiot.
Which drives up the American weakness, which is what Putin's exactly looking for. I don't understand why this is so difficult to see.
Yeah, like I said a second ago, when lines are drawn. And Putin clearly showed his hand that he is a piece of shit. There's videos of Russian tanks running over citizens. There's videos of captured Russians talking about how they were told to shoot anybody, civilians and all. So there's been hospitals bombed. Like, kids are dying. It's not right.
We owned the libs.
Yeah, we own the libs.
Biden's a weak leader. It's just like, come on, dude. What are we doing here?
Which, you know what? Biden's actually, I give him props. He's showing a consistency of like being measured and not wanting to show this military force right away. He pulled troops out of Afghanistan. And if this was Trump, we might be in actual war. We might actually have American soldiers facing eye to eye with Russian soldiers. Because when you listen to pumps,
wait a minute. Before you continue with that statement, let me tell you why that wouldn't work. Somehow the view on war has completely flip-flopped since 2002, right? In 2002, right before we go into Iraq, it's the Republicans that are the neoconservative pumping up the war machine, trying to invade Iraq. And now, don't get me wrong, establishment Democrats were also behind it at the time. But now it's almost had this weird societal flip-flop where, Democrats are for wars and Republicans aren't. I mean, look at the things Tucker Carlson's been saying over the past week and a half.
I haven't listened to him since the actual invasion. Has he changed his tune? Has he admitted he was wrong like we did? Because we were, God.
No,
I felt like shit on Thursday. It's like, damn, like maybe I shouldn't have put myself. Oh, look who's here! It's Takata.
Takata joined the
but yeah, it's insane to me. Legend said Trump is the odd man out. He hasn't started any wars. No, he hasn't actually. You're right. He didn't start any new wars. And in retrospect, that's a good thing. And you could almost say the same thing about Biden for right now. But we'll see how the military-industrial complex actually pulls into the fold or not.
Well, and it's just another one of those things. Like,
but yeah, Legend. Sorry, that is one of the biggest things I gave Trump props for was the fact that he didn't actually start any wars. He almost did, not for lack of trying. When he killed the General Soleimani in Iran, that was a legitimate war act.
It could have been. It could have been bad.
Well, I mean, it was a legitimate. He actually legitimately. That was a legitimate a war act, and when it happened, it was killing an actual Iranian official on another sovereign country's land in Iraq. And then after that, Iran tried to send one of their representatives to the embassy to talk about it, and they couldn't. And then they had their response measured in sending missiles to one of our bases. And under, I think it's Section 5 of the UN Code, what Iran did was actually within code of the United Nations war measures. And it's just, I don't know, that would, not for lack of trying.
Everything is a lose-lose situation, right? With the polarization. So if you look at whether it's Trump in office right now or it's as is with Joe Biden, you don't take action, 50% of the country is going to shit on you. You do take action, 50% of the country is going to shit on you, because it's everything. And this goes back to what Putin sees as weakness. Everything comes back to culture war, identity politics, bullshit. All of it. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah. And that's fractured as hell at home.
So sick of. That's what you and I talk about on this show all the time. It's like, take a fucking step back. Let's stop talking about critical race theory for 10 minutes. And let's look at what's actually going on here. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody has time to do that. It's just, the type of media that I like to listen to said this. Okay, well, I guess we'll just go with that and fuck the Dems or fuck the Republicans or, fuck the libtards or whoever the hell, whoever you don't like. That's the American weakness. It has nothing to do with who the actual leader is. And I can actually get behind the statement that Biden is a weak president. I don't like him, Corey. We've talked about it a ton of times.
Yeah.
Because we keep talking about, choosing between two bowls of shit, which has been basically the last 6 elections. So I don't really care about Biden being a weak leader. That discussion doesn't really help anything right now, because 50% of the country
right.
That anyway.
And you want to say something else, it's interesting is when you look back on the presidency of Trump, the reason why the Ukrainians actually might have a fighting chance right now is because of Trump. Remember, he was selling them weapons. He's the one that said we need to give them better weapons to fight Russia. But that's forgotten, because as soon as he approved it, he then tried to hold the money back from Ukraine. And it's just, but it could be argued that right now Ukraine has, but at the same time, when we talk about now what's happening there, and now that our secret intelligence actually has a little bit of legitimacy again, maybe the writing on the wall for this was there for a little bit longer. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I don't know if you wanted to get into this. I sure did, about what Putin actually wants here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because that's another thing that we got wrong, right? Like I just thought Putin was posturing, and he was going to, make himself seem strong and get back up on his horse naked and Russia's so strong. Look at us. Clearly that's not the case. In his speech, and I'm paraphrasing here, right? The speech that he gave right before the invasion or just after the invasion. So he says that he wants to rid Ukraine of Nazis. Now, we've talked about this angle. I think, obviously, and so does the rest of the world, other than maybe China, that's bullshit. That's
Right.
100% bullshit.
I mean, there are Nazis there, but it's not like it's a group that's going to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, good luck.
It's a bullshit guys to invade a sovereign country.
Good luck playing the morality angle if you're Vladimir Putin trying to rid the world of Nazis.
Yeah.
At the second thing that I have written down that he said, again, this is not verbatim, that he wants to redraw the lines of Europe. Now that is fucking terrifying, in my opinion. That is very Hitler-esque. That is not a fun thing to hear a European power say at any point throughout history. And the third thing that I have written down here is that he wants to bring back what was the USSR back to its former glory, which again, I don't really know when that glory ever really existed, but that's also terrifying.
Yeah. And you know what's kind of funny too? I was thinking about this when you look at what was it? It was Operation Barbarossa when the Nazis flew into Russia or like took off into Russia to try to fight them. One of the points that they came in was Ukraine because Ukraine was a part of Russia at the time. And now Russia is learning, forgetting its own history, that you don't invade Russia in the winter.
No, it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold. What's that, Eddie?
It's a bit poetic, isn't it?
What's that, Eddie? Joke? Napoleon invades. Don't go into Eastern Front. Not a good idea. Oh, it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold. Hitler. I got a better idea. I've got a better idea. Oh, it's the same idea. It's the same idea.
God, but yeah, I want to give those Ukrainians some props right now. The Ghost of Kiev, that's what's trending on Twitter right now. It's this Ukrainian fighter pilot.
Yeah, you've been keeping an eye on this. I haven't looked into this.
Yeah, this Ukrainian fighter pilot, dude, he's taken down 6 Russian fighter jets. Well, like some are jets and some are bombers, but one of them was a 2-on-1 dogfight. With the Ukrainian, the Ghost of Kiev fighting 2 Russian jets at once, and he took them both out. Now, this is all legend, obviously, but these are just reports coming from the Ukrainian side. The Ukrainians are fighting like hell. Kiev right now is getting bombarded. There's a pincher movement coming from the north, coming kind of enveloping them. The Russians are gaining ground, but with heavy casualties. And that's evidenced by the fact that Putin already says that he's ready to talk. And that's a far cry of a different thing than what he was saying in his speech of trying to reunite Ukraine.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit pre-show, Corey, and that is that we don't know how much of this is Ukrainian propaganda. I'm going to choose to believe that it's not, at least for now. I'm just going to make that decision to believe that it's not propaganda and it's all 100% accurate because it just makes me feel good.
I hope so, yeah. When you see some of these videos and you see like there's so many videos coming out of Ukraine, and that's exactly what I was saying before, like when people were trying to say that Russia was invading already, and I called bullshit when it was like 36 hours before, and I was like, no, because you would see videos. Because as soon as he actually did, the videos just started popping up. And at the end of the show, we're going to share. So like for our podcast listeners, we'll probably cut this part out because it's going to be a lot of visual because it's a lot of foreign languages and stuff.
But if you are listening to the podcast, you can always go subscribe on YouTube and check out
YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. Yeah, all of our videos are on there. And you can go on there and you can see, we're going to share some videos of some Russian soldiers talking to some people. I mean, Russian soldiers that are been kidnapped, Ukrainian soldiers that are just kicking ass, and some bold ass Ukrainian old ladies and adults and children, and it's a sight to see. It's we haven't had this happen in our lifetime, Dan. So it's
that's why I've been so just going back and forth emotionally on what's going on here, right? Because this is a big deal, right? This is actual war in Europe. Don't listen. I mean, nobody believes what the hell Putin's saying. Oh, this is just whatever he said.
Peacekeeping special operation
and like a military intervention or whatever. Now, you just went to war with a sovereign nation. Like that's what you did. This is war in Europe. This is something that our generation has never experienced. Our parents' generation, yours, and you have older parents, Corey, you have barely experienced this. Were they babies or not even born yet?
So yeah, my dad, who was born in 1946, they didn't see any wars in Europe. They saw the skirmishes in Bosnia and stuff like that. They saw Vietnam. They saw North Korea.
Yeah.
uh,
So
the Middle East wars and stuff like that. But yeah,
and
war in Europe, like the tone that you're hearing from leaders in Europe is like tones you haven't heard 30, 40, 50, 60 years. It's insane. We woke up yesterday morning to a different world than what we went to bed to.
I had to grab
Finish that drink.
Oh, I was getting a little frog in my throat there. But yeah, when it comes to the seriousness of this, it is serious. But I've gone back and forth so much emotionally on it because you saw what was going on at first. You saw the original videos. First, you heard that Russia was invading Ukraine, and like my heart just sank. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Wasn't even upset that I was wrong. I was just like, this is like, I don't care that I was wrong. It just the fact that it happened. And then
The implication of what being wrong meant.
I've got you sending me all these updates because I had to go for anybody who's listening. I had to go to a golf simulator yesterday. Like I had to just get away from my computer. I had to get away from my phone. I went to a golf simulator for like 3 hours just to get away from this. And Corey's sending me updates about Ukraine seems to be holding its own. They just took back one of their airports. Now this is happening. And all the Russian soldiers are fat. And
yeah, like when you see the Russian soldiers, they're all young kids, or it's like older men that are like fat. Now, granted, it doesn't matter how big or small you are. What does Biggie say in one of his songs? He says something about being able to use a gun. Like, but like, yeah, it doesn't matter your size. You can use a gun, but like, yeah, it's insane to me. Like, it's watching all this stuff just happen so fast in real time. And
you
it seems
just brought up the fact that Russia is already talking to I think it was the Chinese earlier this afternoon about the possibility of actually going to the negotiating table with Ukraine already.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yeah, there's reports that I'm finding that the Ukrainian army, their intelligence is coming out with that I've seen reports up to like close to 3,000 and as low as the very lowest I saw, but it was only from one, was 500. But it seems like it's between like 1,000 and 2,800 soldiers of Russia killed, and there's a report of 137 Ukrainians killed. Sorry, go ahead.
No, hold on. Give the numbers again. I interrupted you like an asshole.
Yeah. So it's like based on reports coming out of the area, it's saying that between like 1,000 and 2,800 Russian soldiers have been killed versus 138 Ukrainian soldiers. And what's crazy too is they're finding a lot of like Russian uniforms and trucks just abandoned. Like they're just stripping this shit off and hightailing it out of there.
And these are reports as of the time we're doing this show. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on February.
What is that in Ukraine? What's the time difference?
I have no idea.
You want to look that up real quick?
I'm not some sort of geographic whiz. I'm just what do you do? Ask Siri what time is it in Ukraine? Hey Siri. Yeah. Hey Siri. What time is it in Kiev? You bitch. She didn't even answer me. Hey Siri.
3:01 a.m.
All right. So it's 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
On February 26th, currently in Kiev.
Yeah, Dakota just said that it's 2:00 in Germany. And yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to get Dakota on the show tonight, but we'll definitely have to get him on again because I'm wondering what the theme in Germany is now.
So let's
talk what it was a week ago.
And it might actually be better to wait on that because of this is such a fluid situation.
That's why I said I want to like maybe have him on like next week or the week after or something to figure all this shit out.
But another thing I wanted to discuss, Corey, was the West's reaction to this because obviously at this point, nobody besides Ukraine is putting any boots on the ground to help Ukraine.
Right.
Weapons and things like that are a different discussion. But we're talking about sanctions. We're talking about SWIFT, right? and completely cutting off the Russians from basically using any global banks, that can have serious consequences, obviously for Russia, but also for the EU. Buys a lot of gas from Russia. I've also seen reports that the Chinese are making some backdoor deals to maybe help buy some of that extra oil from the Russians to
Sure,
help
it's
with
real
the
cheap right
sanctions,
now.
which is very interesting. Well, you'd figure it'd be a lot more expensive, but I'm not an economist.
Well, just simple supply and demand. Now all of a sudden they have a shit ton of supply and no fucking demand. They just have oil sitting around.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But then again, communism and supply and demand don't necessarily go hand in hand.
The Chinese they've been very good at using the global market, a little bit better than the Russians historically. So
Yeah. So that's a weird angle to take too, because I was thinking about that. Like, so China is they have their Belt and Road Initiative, but then they're starting their new initiative. I forget what they coined it as, but like it's about bringing all of the Chinese out of poverty and just bringing all of them more bringing everyone like their wealth up and stuff in the country. And war is not going to do that for them, if that makes sense.
no, it does.
You know, regional areas that are close to them, regional disruption will affect their bottom line.
Well, and then it's the other thing that you always think about, right? Because as Americans who stay away from the mainstream narrative, we know this. Sanctions generally do not hurt the people that they are supposed to hurt.
Right.
Sanctions hurt the Russian people. And we've seen throughout the last few days, and maybe even within the Russian military itself, Russia doesn't want this war. Like
Right.
I feel so bad for the Russian people. But it's like, what do? Do you put boots on the ground? Because that's the only other option, right? It's either sanctions or boots on the ground. Like you have to do something. And it's just so difficult. It's
Or do
so
we get
difficult to
wrapped up
say.
in dumping billions of dollars into another proxy war?
Do you put boots on the ground against a nuclear power? I mean, the possible ramifications for that, you would think that it's pretty obvious that nobody would fire a nuke, but Putin's already demonstrated that he's willing to do something really dumb, which was invade Ukraine. Something
Yeah,
that
all
maybe
he did was hurt his
sounds
own
so good.
people, and for what? His own pride?
So when you have, people on the right saying, or whoever it is, the neocon, I'm not even going to say the right or the left. It doesn't even matter. The neocons that actually want to put boots on the ground.
It's
Okay,
the neolibs that wanna put boots on the ground.
at this point, yeah. Then anything neo at this point, we need to get the Matrix open. So that was a bad joke. So what do you? I just don't think it's as simple as that, right? Like you had to do something, but sanctions don't work because all they do is hurt the population. But you don't want to put boots on the ground because now you're in actual combat with another nuclear power, which is everything that everyone has feared since 1945.
Yeah.
You're speechless.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, you kinda nailed it on the head there. It's like yeah.
There's no simple solution here, and that's one of the advantages that Putin has here is he knows that. He knows.
Yeah, it's we're America in itself is in a position of being weary. All like the whole world is now put in a position of superpowers yet again, button heads, to where it can easily, as evidenced by how fast Ukraine escalated, it can easily escalate into a scenario where there is no turning back, and it's really, really, really bad, and millions of people die just from a couple bombs.
Well, and another thing that Putin did really well here is like he he's definitely crazy. He's not as smart as I originally thought he might have been. But another thing that Putin noticed wasn't just the West's instability politically, in that, as we talked about earlier, in America, we can't even agree on who the rightful president is. But also, as you said, our war weariness, right? Like, we invaded Afghanistan, and that you could defend that, right? Like, you could find a way around defending the fact that we invaded Afghanistan, 9/11 happened. But if obviously, if you take it back historically far enough, as the United States actually has some fault in the fact that 9/11 happened in the first place. If you go back to providing weapons to the Mujahideen and all of the ways that we've made the Middle East unstable, you could definitely get into the weeds on that, right? But you could at least justify invading Afghanistan as revenge for 9/11, right?
You can justify going in and kicking in doors trying to find the people. You'll never be able to justify the occupation and what came afterwards.
Exactly. That turned into a 20-year war that we essentially lost. Iraq was a war that we never should have even started.
Yeah, that one's not justified at all.
Not justified.
And it's all of these different things.
Again, and lost.
Yeah. And that's all those different things that we talk about on the show. Like, the way we, like, because America isn't innocent. We meddle in a bunch of stuff. So when it comes down to our intelligence itself, when we talk about things, that's why we're a little skeptical. That's what we do on our show. We follow the money. We try to expose the corruption, and
we challenge ourselves.
And I think that's what put you and I in this position to where we were like, yeah, there's no way this is going to happen, because there's no way it could be justified. Because I guess the way our media does spin it to us, that even when we are at fault, well, it was justified. And this is just, it's not right. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm still trying to formulate the words for this, because I can't believe he's doing it. And
well, it's like, if we go back to, let's regroup. If you go back to the beginning of the episode, right? He's an older man. His country's GDP is faltering. His legacy isn't looking so good, right? And not to mention the West, that little 10% of fault that maybe the West has in this. If you sit there and you poke an old bear so many times, eventually he's going to respond.
Right. Yeah. It's, like, that's what I was trying to say, is like the poking and prodding, and 30, and, at this point, 80 years of bad blood. Actually, no, longer than that, 100 years, if you want to go all the way back to the Red Scare.
Yeah.
100 years of bad blood, old heads, and Cold War thinking. We weren't 100% innocent in poking this to happen. But that does not give Putin a pass for what he did. And like I said earlier, now that the lines are drawn, now that he exposed his hand, the lines are drawn, and this is almost a scenario to where we don't get to, like, even call the hypocrisy, even though, because the hypocrisy was there. The hypocrisy happened that led us to this point. But now that we're in this point and people are dying, you almost, it's like you got to pick a side, and Putin is not the side to be on. When we talk about context and talking about what leads up to this, sure. But now that we're at this point, no.
But that's the thing. I don't think anybody's on the side of Putin. I think where it all falls apart, at least here domestically in America, is we gotta find somebody even when something on a global scale happens that doesn't directly affect Americans. we have to find somebody domestically to blame. It's your neighbor's fault because he voted for Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's what disgusts me about having this conversation with anybody on a social media platform. Like, Putin invaded Ukraine because your neighbor voted a certain way. Like,
Yeah.
do you
It's
understand how fucking insane that is?
yeah. And so I just went on that little tangent talking about how at this point the lines are being drawn and we have to pick a side or whatever. But you can't, when it comes to talking about picking that side, you have a bunch of people who don't know anything about Ukraine, don't know anything about 2014, don't know anything about our encroachment since the 90s
But
with
Biden's
NATO
the
and
weak
stuff like
leader.
that. So yeah, so people are acting like all of a sudden it's up. It was Biden. Like Biden one day woke up and decided that we're gonna make this happen. No, it's not that. This probably would have happened under Trump too.
Gas
We don't
prices
know
are
that.
really high. Thanks, Uncle Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It makes me so mad too, Corey. Hang on just one second, because I just got upset for a second. It makes me so mad because I don't like Joe Biden. And
right.
people always accuse me of liking Joe Biden, but it's like, no, I'm going to defend him when what you're saying has absolutely nothing to fucking do with him.
Right, because
I
you're
would
just
have done
adding
the
noise.
same thing for Donald Trump. I would have done the same thing for Donald Trump. Maybe not in 2016, because I did have Trump derangement syndrome, as I've mentioned many times on this show. But now, today, if Trump were president, still, I would be saying the exact same thing. It doesn't take that much effort to understand at least the minimal amount of what's actually going on. Gas prices are high. President's fault. That's the biggest pet peeve I have. You can go ahead. I was just mad there for a second. I'm
Yeah, no, and it's kind of what I was saying. It's like it's what's happening now isn't just something that just happened. This is a culmination of years and years and years of missteps on both sides to where, and I think what really hurts me too is I always thought that there would be that cooler heads would prevail, but it's like I said, bad blood is what bad blood of years and years and years is just too strong for level heads right now.
Yeah, and you always have to turn to the simple answer. You always have to turn to the simple answer. Everybody looks for that simple answer to a complicated issue.
Because then you can compartmentalize it. That's one decision you don't have to think about. You compartmentalize and go, oh, it was Biden. You close that chapter of the book, and then you get on with your life because you got to worry about your bills, feeding your kids, working all these hours and things like that. That people don't take the time to like actually break this down in a critical matter to where it's like this. It looks like this was bound to happen when the writing is on the wall and you look at it now. When you add the fact that Putin is a crazy fucking bastard, this is gonna happen.
Sorry, I was looking for an old comment. I think it was from Legend, who had left us. I can't find it in here, but I will say basically what I don't know what the hell stuck in my throat here. That he doesn't think that democracy is the problem with the West. This was a great comment. I wish I could find it in here. See if you can find it while I'm talking, Corey.
You're right. This one right here.
Yes, I don't think democracy is a problem with the West. If you think that, then the communists won the Cold War. And I agree with that statement fundamentally. And I also don't think that democracy is a problem with the West, but we are exposing issues, with democracy, that democracy can be, I guess hijacked
by special interests and oligarchies.
Yeah, it's something that's totally possible. I still firmly believe that democracy is the best system, even with all the bullshit that we go through here in the United States. I'm still free. Like, I can still jump in my truck and go play golf whenever I want. I can even buy weed now here in Michigan. I can do all sorts of things.
We can sit here and say about our president, fuck him, and then not all of a sudden have the KGB kicking in doors and our news and our feed getting nixed.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that. That's the good part of what we've developed here in America as having.
It's arguably that democracy is one of the reasons why we haven't had wars for 70 years in Europe.
And also, there is a bad part of democracy. It can be taken advantage of by special interests, by oligarchs, corporate oligarchs. How do we fix that? I don't know. I have no fucking idea. But I will acknowledge that that is a problem that exists. Does that mean I want to change? Does that mean I want to become China? No. I don't want to be China. But I will say this. This is a philosophy that I've had for about 5 years now. You have a choice. You can either be an autocracy, whether you want to be fascist, whether you want to be communist, whether you want to be actual socialists, and we can talk about the differences in socialism till we're blue in the face, or whether you want to be a democracy, a democratic republic. You can either be free or you can be efficient. You cannot be both. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense. Democracy is messy.
Why do you think the Chinese are dominating Africa? They're even making headway in South America. Because autocracies are efficient because there's just one place to go. Now, if you have a decent strategic autocrat, which Xi Jinping seems to be, is he evil? Is he killing people? Is he throwing Uyghurs in camps and hurting his own people? Oh yeah, he is. But guess what? The Chinese economy is doing really, really well. And they're quick to make decisions. They're quick to get things done. That's why they were able to, during COVID, they were able to build a fucking 400 hospitals in 28 days or whatever the hell it was. I made those numbers up, but it was.
It was something pretty insane like that. Well, in democracy,
there's a lot of bureaucracy to go through. So
it takes 2 years to change the name of a school.
You can either be free or you can be efficient. Which one do you want? I'll take free.
I'd rather be dead than red, Dan.
I know that, Corey. Anyway,
oh man,
we're 52 minutes in, Corey.
What did you say?
We're 52 minutes in. We got off on a couple of little special tangents there that was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it's insane to me. We are witnessing history, being a part of the millennial generation. We have never seen anything like this. Not like this. We've never seen an invasion that didn't make sense.
You ready?
Well, Iraq, I guess, but at the time, everyone was like,
we don't have any monologues tonight. As I said, Corey and I, this was kind of thrown together because we wanted to get into the Ukraine situation, and we don't even have any interesting banners, as you've probably seen if you're watching this on YouTube. But Corey does have a special video segment. If you're ready to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can end with this. I'm gonna say real quick, if you like the show, like, listen, and follow. We are on all of your social media and podcast platforms. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Twitch at LibServativePod. You can find our monologues that we usually read on the show at libservativepodcast@wordpress.com. And then you can find us on Facebook at LibServative. You can find our podcast on all podcast platforms that you prefer. That you prefer. And like, follow, and share. Come join the conversation. We constantly post. We like to get the feedback from the people. It helps us because when you have feedback from all different people, it helps you create it adds more context and helps you create a more open-minded opinion on things. Come join the conversation. And then if you like what you hear on the show, go ahead and tell a friend. Because I'm sure you have one friend that you decompress with when it comes to these type of things. And if you like the show, your friend might like it too. And then you just have something to talk about.
And if you don't have that friend, you can talk to us. So
we'll be here. Yeah. Join the community. We'll have a great time talking.
So if you're listening to the audio version here on the podcast, if you want to see our special video segment, please find us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. And until next time, he's been Corey Walsh.
And he has been Dan Griffin.
And we are out of here.
And we're back. All right.
I tried to do something special and fun there, but it didn't work.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I was on a different tab.
That's right. We're
What'd you do?
I was trying to give you the countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Trying to be professional here, man. I was trying to be.
I did it on what I did on 2.
I was trying to be Brian Stelter's director, is what I was trying to do.
CNN ain't going anywhere.
He is so awful.
Oh God, isn't he?
He's okay. I want you to marry, fuck, kill. You ready for this?
Oh boy.
Tucker Carlson, Brian Stelter, Rachel Maddow. Go.
Oh man.
This is the special stuff you get when you subscribe to YouTube here, folks.
Marry, fuck, kill, Brian Stelter, Tucker Carlson, Rachel Maddow.
You have to kill Brian Stelter, right? I mean,
yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're even allowed to say that.
We're just playing marry, fuck, kill. We'll probably get that one.
And then I'd probably. Oh man, I have to marry and fuck.
You want me to answer first? You want me to answer first?
Yeah.
I will fuck Rachel Maddow, and I will kill, or I'm sorry, marry Tucker Carlson.
I'll fuck Tucker Carlson. Marry Rachel Maddow. How about that?
All right. I mean, I guess. I mean,
because Rachel Maddow's smart. She's just bought out by the establishment.
She would also bring.
I feel like in private she might not be as pretentious as she is online, but Tucker Carlson.
You missed what I just said.
What'd you say?
She would also bring ladies home.
Oh,
you're right. I changed my mind.
I changed my mind.
I meant for that to be like a political marry, fuck, kill, Corey. This wasn't serious.
You're the one that talked about bringing ladies home. I'm just thinking about just bending Carlson over and holding on to his bow tie.
And Libservative was just pulled off YouTube.
And we're never going to be allowed on Fox.
All right, Corey, let's get to that special video portion for just our YouTube watchers and our Twitch watchers here.
Yep. Let me see if I can.
I'm actually going to full screen you here so I can actually see what's going on.
Yep. All right. So let me see if I can. Let me find this video.
Bear with us.
All right. Here it is.
A lot of weed today. He's just searching.
I'm just doing my best. I'm out on my feet, Dan. All right. Let me share this screen. This right here. So I'm gonna read out the subtitles.
Very good.
Right. Okay. So here is Vladimir Zelensky talking.
I love that language, by the way.
Right.
Is there a difference between Ukrainian and Russian, by the way? Hopefully somebody can.
I think there is.
It's got to be similar, though, right? Like Spanish and Portuguese.
You can, but I think you hear the difference. Oh, see, it did that bullshit again.
It's refreshing on you, Corey.
I don't understand why. All right, here it is. Only solidarity. This is Zelensky. Only solidarity and determination can preserve our freedom and protect the state. The Army, Border Guards, the National Guard, the police, the intelligence, and territorial defense forces. Everyone performs their task to a maximum. It is very important that today our citizens also demonstrate maximum endurance and mutual support. Take care of your family and loved ones, but do not forget about the people around you. Those who are single, those who are older, help them with food. Help find shelter when there is an air alarm. Help with access to verified official information. Stop the enemy wherever you see it. The fate of Ukraine depends only on Ukrainians. No one but
буде
ourselves will
керувати
control our
нашим
lives.
життям.
We are on
Ми
our
на
land.
своїй
The
землі,
truth is on our
за
side.
нами правда, знищити
It
наш
will not be
характер
possible to
не
destroy our
вийде.
character.
Ракети «Калібр»
Caliber missiles
безпорадні
are helpless
проти
against our
нашої
freedom.
свободи. Росії все
Russia
одно
will still have to
доведеться
talk to us sooner or
рано чи
later.
пізно говорити з нами, говорити про
Talk
те,
about how
як
to end the
закінчити бойові
fighting and
дії
stop this
і
invasion.
зупинити це
The
вторгнення.
sooner the conversation
Чим швидше
begins,
розмова почнеться,
the
тим
smaller Russia's
меншими
losses will
будуть
be.
втрати самої Росії.
Wow.
Dear
Уважаемые
citizens
граждане
of the
Российской
Russian
Федерации, как
Federation,
я уже и
Which
сказал,
they didn't
сегодня
hear.
ночью
They didn't hear.
as
начали
I said
бомбить
tonight, they
жилые
started
кварталы
bombing residential
города
areas
Героя
of the
Киев.
hero city of Kiev.
Это все
It all
напоминает
reminds me of
1941
1941.
год. Всем гражданам
To
Российской
all the
Федерации,
citizens of the
которые
Russian
выходят
Federation
на
who've
протест,
come out to
хочу
protest,
сказать,
I want to say
мы
we
вас
see
видим.
you.
Это
This
значит,
means that you've heard us.
что вы нас услышали. Это
This means
значит,
that you begin to
вы
trust
нам
us.
начинаете верить.
Fight for us.
Боритесь
Fight against
за
the
нас,
war.
боритесь против войны. Шановні
Dear citizens of
громадяни
Ukraine,
України, захищаємось,
we are defending
не
ourselves.
зупиняємось.
We do
Слава
not
вам,
stop.
слава нашій
Glory to
армії,
you.
слава
Glory to
Україні.
our army. Glory to Ukraine.
Oh man, what a handsome devil he is, right?
Right? The Ukrainians are, their morale is high. I got more videos for you, Dan.
You got more videos. I like that video because I saw earlier today the I mean, I tried to avoid Twitter, but I wasn't great at it. Him in full military garb. In Ukraine.
Yeah, in the
He was,
city
like,
of
ready to
Kiev.
fight. He was like ready to fight himself. I mean, he looked
Dude.
ridiculous. He looked ridiculous. He had one of those Viper helmets on and like one of those vests. But I don't even think
I don't know.
Sand.
Honestly, Dan, I don't know. When you see this, I don't know how he's walking around without assistance, to be honest with you, or able to just wear regular pants, because the balls on this guy have got to be so big and heavy.
Was he originally like a comedian or something?
Yeah, he was a comedian actor.
So he's like their Trump, except
Yeah.
way more articulate.
Yep. So here's another video for you. This guy.
И ничего они из себя не представляют. Просто бородатые, и все. Будем брить. Да, мы брить.
So what he is basically saying, he said, to all the Ukrainian people, do not be scared of those Chechens. So the Chechens are basically like a mujahideen, like insurrectionist group, and it's this like Muslim group from Chechnya, and they're known for their lack of human rights, like lack of empathy, I guess. They have human rights violations all over them. And so what this Ukrainian soldier is saying is, to all the Ukrainian people, don't be scared of those Chechens brought by the Russians. They're jackals and represent nothing. They are simply bearded people, and we are going to shave them.
Speaking of shave, I got Dexter here.
Oh, did Dexter get shaved?
No, but he needs to shave.
He's a short-haired dog. Why are you gonna shave him?
No, he needs his nails shaved.
Oh,
say hi to the people, Dexty. He's very nervous. He just got
he's camera shy.
He just got back with his mom from a trip to a brewery. He probably had a lot of beer.
Oh, there you go.
People love Dexty. He's now the show mascot. All right, you can go. He just wants to-
All right, so here's another video I found. This is in Ireland. This is the Russian ambassador to Ireland. He's just trying to go home, or he's trying to enter the embassy. And here's a bunch of Irish people basically telling him just to get fucked. Hitting him with his bike.
How hard do you think Amazon worked to get all of those Ukrainian flags to all of those Irish drunks? And I'm allowed to say that because I'm Irish, so everybody relax. Get
Right.
the fuck out of here. What are you doing in our country?
Hey, you go home.
Scottish. I'm sorry, that was half Scottish. I apologize to any Irishmen out there.
Here's another Russian tank on fire.
A Russian tank on fire?
Yep.
Very
Here's
good.
some more.
Like
A
to see
Russian
that.
military convoy. That's destroyed.
Where's the video of the fat Russian soldier? That's what I want to see.
Of who?
The fat Russian guy. The fat Russian soldier that you showed me.
Oh, we're getting there. Okay, here's a good one. So this is another one I found that I thought was just phenomenal. So this is in Kiev. It's from 3 hours ago.
Somebody playing the Ukrainian anthem on the trumpet? Sounds
Yep.
like.
Just in downtown Kiev. This guy isn't playing, he just hears it.
Stop for just a second, sir.
Slavia, Ukraine.
Stop-
Okay, here's a good one. I'll
stop-
read the.
hold on,
I'll read
hold on,
the.
hold on. Stop for just a second, because I want to point something out that I don't think we talked about during the regular episode, which is, isn't it amazing how much more? And this is something I don't think Americans, probably since the Civil War, have ever experienced. When your country is actually invaded by somebody else, how much more camaraderie you actually have. Like these people, it's so strange in all these videos that we've seen, and it doesn't seem to be propaganda, how happy they all seem. Like their country is being invaded by foreigners, and they're
Yeah.
like they're like together and like ready to go, and yet we're like, oh yeah, Biden's not actually president. It's just,
Yeah, isn't that
it's just
insane?
so gross, man. And like, I'm not saying I want America to be invaded or anything like that, but it's like there's just something different about this.
Yeah, it's the morale over there is very, very high right now. I'm hoping it stays that way. So here's a Ukrainian soldier talking to Russian soldiers, and I'll read the subtitles. So he says, "Dudes, you are fucked.
Вы сейчас остановились.
You stopped for
У
now.
нас все хорошо.
We're fine.
Мы
We're
подтягиваем
pulling up our
резервы.
reserves.
У нас есть авиация.
We have
У нас есть
aviation
танки.
and have tanks.
У нас есть все.
We've got everything.
Вам
Your asses
жопа,
are us,
парни.
fellas.
Давайте так.
How about this?
Давайте нахуй в плен.
Why don't you
Пока есть
fucking
такая
surrender while you
возможность.
still
Многие
have the
ваши уже
chance?
выбрали этот путь.
Many
Он
of
не
yours
самый
have already
херовый
chosen
на
that
самом
path.
деле. Мы с
It's not that
пленными,
bad, really. It
возможно,
may
это
be a
ошибка,
mistake,
мы к
but we
пленным
treat
относимся
prisoners of
довольно
war fairly
хорошо.
well.
Поэтому
Sue, you are
сейчас вы
stuck right
стали,
now, and
а
soon you'll be
дальше
getting your
мы
asses
начнем вас
kicked.
гонять. Делать
And
мы
we'll
это
start doing it
прямо
right now.
сейчас. Поэтому
Therefore,
используйте
use
свой
your
последний
last
шанс.
chance.
Он пиздец.
They're all making these videos. Okay, so here's so
Is
this
the
guy
fat
is basically
This is the fat guy.
this isn't the fat guy. We'll get to the fat guy.
Oh, it's not the fat guy. What's the fat guy?
They captured this guy and made him call his parents.
Не знаю, надо что-то решать, что-то делать.
Mom,
Yeah, his parents didn't even know he was over there. They're like, "What are you doing in Ukraine?"
Mom, I got arrested. I need you to come pick me up from the police station.
Oh, this person. So this person actually, this is kind of where we were at on the show. His name is Aaron Mate. I'm not even sure what it is about him or where he's
Aaron
from.
Mate, yeah, he's a great journalist for the Gray Zone, right?
Is he?
I believe so. Yeah.
I followed him after I saw this. Oh yeah, Pushback. He's from the Pushback. He's the host of the fucking Pushback. God damn it.
See, there you go. You didn't even know.
Yeah, he said, I did not think that Russia would invade Ukraine. The pushback from Kiev and other European allies to US warnings, coupled with the long history of Western intel deceptions, were the main reasons. I was wrong. Russia's attack is illegal. It's also exactly what US would have done had Russia done to Canada what US did to Ukraine. Pledge hostile military alliance membership, back a coup, pour in weapons used to attack civilians, and thwart diplomacy. Except US would have done it years ago. That doesn't justify what Russia is doing. Nothing can, but helps explain it. U.S. has treated Ukraine as a prize in its bid to encircle and weaken Russia long after the Cold War ended. I wish Russia pursued more diplomacy, but fact is they're responding to a crisis they didn't start. Just listen to the senior U.S. official Victoria Nuland and then U.S. Ambassador Geoffrey Priet choosing the new Ukrainian governor in 2014 or government in 2014. This call was followed by a coup and billions of dollars in U.S. weapons sent. How would U.S. respond if Russia did this to Canada? I wonder if this has been secretly stage managed and coordinated in some way between Washington and Moscow. Both sides largely get significant things they want out of this without looking weak, or as if they capitulated to one another. Oh nope, just kidding. That last one wasn't something he said. That was from another person. Yeah.
Did I say
but yeah, I
Clit?
mean, we can play this real quick. I'll play this.
Clarenberg.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. I just think Cleach going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing
That's
experience.
just a snippet of a telephone
We might have
call.
played that before on the show.
I think we did.
When we
But yeah,
talked
that's
about
exactly
yeah.
when I don't want to use the word when someone, it's not unprovoked, because this attack was definitely prodded, but it was, I guess I could say it's not unprovoked, but it's not justified. I guess that's a good way to put it, right? I'm trying to word it better, but
You know what? And that's the interesting thing here too, right? Because when you're talking about war, somebody has to pull the trigger first. And that's why I say that the West isn't they're not without any blame in this. Right?
yeah,
Because
that's a good way to put it. They're
like-
not blameless.
Yeah, think about this, right? You go to a bar and there's a pretty girl. Let's just say you're a single man, right? There's a pretty girl. And she's clearly there with her boyfriend. Maybe they don't have a great relationship. And you're over there and you're in her ear a little bit and he's looking at you. And you're in her ear again and he's looking at you. You're in her ear again and he's looking at you. And you just keep, and you know it's making him mad, and you just keep.
And eventually he says, "Hey,
how much can I say? What can I do?" And you just keep poking him and poking him and poking him. And
he's
eventually,
like, "No, man, listen, don't buy her a drink. She is with me."
he reaches back and decks your ass.
Right.
It's,
And then the guy just on the ground like, "I don't understand what happened." Now that's a super way to put it trivially, but that's exactly it. It's like, or you sit there and you poke someone.
you take
over.
Latvia out to dinner. Then you take Estonia out for dinner. You invite them both over for NATO.
Right.
then you're talking to Ukraine. Hey, maybe you can come over to NATO. Here's a nice vodka tonic. What's your drink, baby? You know what I'm saying? Does that mean it's a really trivial way to put it, but I think it fits.
Yeah, in a country like ours where things have to be trivialized, that's all you can do. This one I thought was kind of funny. So this is a comedy, but it says NATO right now.
In stage 1, we say nothing is going to happen.
Stage 2, we say something may be going to happen, but we should do nothing about it.
In stage 3, we say that maybe we should do something about it, but there's nothing we can do.
Stage 4, we say maybe there was something we could have done, but it's too late now.
I think we're in stage 3. Okay, so here's my boy, the Ghost of Kiev, just fucking jets up.
He fucked the jet up,
The Ghost of Kiev is fucking jets up.
or he just filmed it.
No, the Ghost of Kiev is the pilot. He's the one that shot down.
I
He's a
got
pilot. He shot down 6 Russian jets so far. Okay, so do we want to see how the 18 world leaders have reacted to the Russian invasion?
No, dude, that video is too long, and we all know everybody but China has condemned it.
Yeah.
Let me just put it to you that way. Everybody but China has condemned what Putin has done.
Oh, there's boy.
There's the fat guy. I've been waiting for the fat guy. I'm so happy to see the fat guy. Look at him.
Где?
Like he needs a
А
vodka.
сейчас
So he's the one that was caught, and I think he's the one that was saying that they were told to shoot.
где командир ваш?
Вы с Белоруссии заходили или
They were told to shoot Ukrainian citizens and everything.
А где командир остался ваш? Командир бригады, где он сейчас находится? Он сюда не прибывал на учения?
Он вас не вел в бой? Вы сами взяли и проехали.
Нет, а кто командир батальона твоего? Почему?
That's the epitome of.
Honestly, I made fun of it. Like I called him the fat guy. I feel for people like him, and like when we talked about earlier in the show on the audio podcast, when we talked about the Russian people and the soldiers, and you were talking about how some of them laid down their arms or finding Russian uniforms all over the place. I don't think these guys want to fight, Corey.
No, dude, they all have family over there.
Yeah, they don't want to fight. And I'm hoping we can have I'm not even going to say her name because I don't know if she's going to come on, but we do have locally here a relatively famous documentarian from Russia, from Detroit, that I do know personally. I would love to have her on to talk about this. I'm not going to give her name because I'm not sure that we can get her on. But I did hear her on another show earlier today, and she made just a great point, which was that ethnically, they're all the same people. Like if they took a 23andMe test, they're all brothers and sisters. They don't want to hurt each other. And so when you bring up videos like that, and I make fun of the fat Russian soldier or whatever, because, you got to make light sometimes. It's not funny, but they don't. I see things like that, and I just think these Russian soldiers don't actually want to fight. And maybe Putin is actually more delusional about his own power than he even realizes.
Yeah, I think he's really being exposed right now.
Are you saying that if he had just not done this, he would still be one of the most powerful men in the world?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He exposed himself. Oh, I love this video. Watch this video.
Хера вы пришли с оружием, хера вы пришли с оружием к нам. Возьмите семечки, положите сырые, чтобы хоть подсолнухи росли, когда вы здесь пляшете.
Сейчас наш разговор ни к чему не приведет. Давайте не будем усугублять эту ситуацию. Пожалуйста.
Как усугублять
Пожалуйста,
ситуацию?
не будем усугублять ситуацию. Наш с вами
Ребята,
разговор ни к чему не
Ребята,
приведет.
положите в карманы
Ничего не
семечки.
решит наш с вами разговор.
Я поняла, положите семечки или
Хорошо,
семена цветов. Вы здесь семенами
я
ляжете.
сделаю.
Вы
Так,
пришли
хорошо.
на мою землю.
Хорошо, я вас
Вы
выслушал.
понимаете?
Я вас
Вы
выслушал.
оккупанты.
Хорошо.
Вы враги.
Да,
И вы уже с этой секунды прокляты.
да.
Я вам отвечаю.
Все. Теперь послушайте меня.
Я вас услышала.
Не будем усугублять ситуацию. Пройдите,
А
пожалуйста.
куда уже усугублять? Вы пришли, блядь, непрошенные
Хорошо.
твари, конченые.
So basically, this chick walked up to these fucking Russian soldiers and said, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And just started swearing at him, saying, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "You cannot talk to us. You're just going to escalate the situation." And she's like, "What do you mean escalate the situation? You came here uninvited and occupying our country. You're a fucking enemy."
I'm an
And
old
then
lady with no weapons.
And she went and said, "Here, take," and she gave them tried to give them sunflower seeds and said, "Take these sunflower seeds. So when you die in our country, the least you can do is be fertilizer for the sunflower seeds that will grow from your pockets." Now, the poetic thing of that is sunflower seeds are the national flower of Ukraine.
Sunflowers are?
Yeah, sunflower seeds or sunflowers. Yeah.
That's funny. I dig it.
Yeah. It's, I don't want to get wrapped up in the propaganda because I don't know how much of these videos is propaganda and stuff, but it's looking like Ukraine is defending their country. And it's like you heard people like Zelensky basically mimic Winston Churchill from like the 1940s when he's like, "We'll fight in the trenches, we'll fight in the air, we'll fight in the water, we'll fight in the ground. We're gonna defend our land, and you're not gonna take it from us."
No, and again, there are a couple things to consider here. We're not thinking about this right now because of the actual situation, but there's a couple things we know for sure. Ukraine is a corrupt, not very good country. But as you said in show prep, Corey, you made a great point to me, and you said, let them be their own shitty country.
Let them be their own sovereign shitty country.
Yeah, that's number one. And number two is the Russian people. And I think what we're seeing here is that even the Russian soldiers, we can have feelings for. We can have understanding for them, because this is the work of an autocrat. This is what it looks like. And we talked a couple of weeks ago, or last week even, about the convoys in Canada. Now, I'm not saying that Justin Trudeau is Vladimir Putin, but this is what it looks like when you start with something small, like not being able to protest in your own country. This is what it looks like when it gets to the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, autocracy is awfully convenient.
And
democracy is supposed to be hard.
And autocracy always starts small.
Innocent.
And we've even seen it here in the United States. We've seen it in certain ways with the radical left. We've seen it in certain ways with the Trumpist right. And the good news is, even though we can't agree on things still, I still feel very, very comfortable being an American. As much as I bitch about it, and as much as I bitch about the way we treat each other sometimes, especially on social media, I still look at it and I'm still very, very, very fucking happy to be an American at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, all
when
this
that
just
changes,
solidifies.
When
America
that changes,
is the place to be.
Yeah, but when that changes, that's the thing. I don't ever want that to change. And that's why, Corey,
we have this show.
And that's why when we get on this show, we look at every single little thing and go, yep, it seems small right now, but this is what it can turn into. And that's why we followed those Canadian truckers so far through, even though I don't think I necessarily agreed with everything they were for. Maybe you didn't either, but I was 100% in agreement with their ability to get out there and park their trucks in that street and fucking protest, because it always starts with something small like that. And that's why when people go, oh, it's just this one little thing. Well, that one little thing compounds.
If you're a democracy, you don't want to give any sort of ammo to an autocracy to go, well, you called that a democracy, but look what you did.
And
uh-oh. I think I just lost Dan. There goes the democracy. The autocracy just straight kicked in, and we lost Dan. He is gone. I'm looking at his face right now, and he has this look at his face like he may have shit or farted, and he's not 100% sure.
It doesn't matter whether it's a
you're back.
right wing.
Oh, I lost you again. You are cutting out, and I don't think it's on my side this time.
There we go. I'm back.
And you're back. Do you see yourself up in the corner?
That was weird. What's funny is, like, whenever that happens and you go, I think I just lost Dan. I'm still here, but you can't hear me.
Did you hear what I said? I said, and it's frozen on his face where it looks like he's not sure if it was a fart or a shit.
But what's the last thing you heard me say? I felt like I was making a good point.
You said, and was the very last word.
I can't remember what I was saying before I said and.
I started thinking about whether you shit yourself or farted.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Basically what I was saying was, it all starts with something small. And it doesn't matter if, I think this is what I was saying. It doesn't matter if it's leftist autocracy or right-wing autocracy. As somebody who's an ideological leftist, I still don't want leftist autocracy. I'm sorry, I don't.
Right. Yeah, and it like one thing that always sticks in my mind is Dan Carlin is just such a fucking genius when it comes to his perspective on things. And there's two things that attribute to this conversation. And one is anytime your guy does something, think about it if it was the opposite side doing that. And if you'd be uncomfortable with it, then you should think twice about being excited that your guy does it. And then the other one was one that I completely forgot. And
I got it. I got it. I got the other one because I listened to that same Dan Carlin, and it's that if you're happy with an autocrat, you better make sure you're happy with that autocrat's son or daughter. You better make sure that you're you may be happy with that autocrat, but that doesn't mean you're going to be happy with who succeeds that autocrat.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. That's why autocracy is a bad idea.
Damn, the other one was like the real point I wanted to make too, and that sucks.
I thought I just
can't
had
think
it,
of
but I guess I didn't.
No, that was kind of what I was getting at with that one. What did he say? He said that I don't know.
You'll think of
I'll
it.
save that. It'll sound good in another episode at another time.
All right. So,
but Dan, my drink is gone.
Yeah, that's mine too. We have this was a little bit of a special edition here for just our video viewers and our YouTube people and our Facebook folks, and we thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to us on YouTube. Corey, once again, tell the folks where they can find us.
This was a special episode, and this is what we're striving to do on this show. That you heard us say we were wrong, and that's something that you're not going to hear in a lot of stuff. We really miscalculated on this, and it kind of bums me out because the weight of the wrong miscalculation is people dying, and I guess pragmatic optimism from both of us thinking cooler heads would prevail wouldn't let this happen. But that just goes to show us that we really are on our own, and that the people that are in charge that we kind of hold up on pedestals aren't any smarter than you or I are. But I digress. If you want to come check out the show, we are on Facebook at Libservative. We are on Twitter and we are on Instagram at LibservativePod. You can hear our monologues in the transcript form. You can read them out at libservativepodcast.wordpress.com. And you can find our podcast on any podcast platform that you listen to. Libservative Pod, come join the conversation. We are here to call balls and strikes on the bullshit that we see happening in the day-to-day lives of here in America and in special instances abroad.
Yeah, apparently we've become a geopolitical podcast.
And we're getting it wrong. Come hang out and come learn with us. We're here to drink some bourbon and talk about some bullshit.
And until next time, he's been Corey Walsh.
And he has been Dan Griffin.
This has been Libservative, and we are out of here.